Let me ask you something. What if you could build a business structure that worked like a high-rise building where each floor stood entirely on its own? If something bad happened on one floor, it wouldn't bring the others down with it. That's exactly the kind of protection Florida's new Series LLC law is designed for. This isn't just technical legal change, it's a game changer for business owners, investors, and entrepreneurs across the state. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Santiago Cueto, a board-certified international law expert, a business attorney right here in Florida, and the best-selling author of Winning Lawsuits in Florida. Over the last 2 decades, I've helped everyone from Fortune 100 companies to everyday entrepreneurs protect their assets, structure their ventures, and navigate Florida's evolving legal landscape. And I can tell you what Florida just did with the Series LLC is a major step forward. So here's what's happening. In June 2025, Florida passed a new law that finally brings Series LLCs into play. The law takes effect on July 1st, 2026, which means businesses have a little under a year to prepare. Now, if you've never heard of a Series LLC before, you're not alone. Think of it as one umbrella company that can hold multiple mini companies inside of each of it, each one called a protected series. Each of those series can own its own assets, have its own members, and even enter into its own contracts. And most importantly, each one is shielded from the liabilities of the others. It's a kind of like having a fleet of ships. If one springs a leak, the rest stay afloat. That's the appeal. This matters because Florida is aligning itself with other business-forward states like Delaware and Texas. For years, clients doing business in those states have been using Series LLCs to save on administrative costs, reduce liability, and build flexible structures, especially in industries like real estate, franchising, and investment management. Let's say you're a real estate investor. Instead of forming a separate LLC for each property, you can now use one parent LLC and create a different protected series for each property. So if someone sues you over a slip and fall in one building, your other properties are insulated. It's asset protection made simple, and legal fees go down dramatically. That same approach works for business owners running multiple ventures under one brand, or even families managing different portfolios. It's a clean, strategic way to scale without stacking up LLC after LLC. Now, before you run out and start restructuring your entire business, there are a few things to understand. First, each series has to be properly documented. That means separate records, clear asset ownership, and clean internal bookkeeping. If the records aren't handled properly, you risk losing the liability protection. Second, Florida will require each protected series to include the parent LLC's name in its official title. So you need to be deliberate in your naming strategy and filings. And while this law opens a lot of doors, it's still relatively new. We don't know yet how the courts will interpret some of the gray areas, especially when a dispute arises between series or across state lines. So having a clear, well-drafted operating agreement is absolutely critical. Let me give you a real-world example. I recently spoke with a developer who owns short-term rentals across South Florida. Under the current structure, he had 10 separate LLCs, 10 bank accounts, 10 annual reports, and 10 sets of legal fees. With the new law, he can consolidate all those under one Series LLC and divide each rental into its own protected series. If a guest slips in a Miami property, the assets in his Orlando property aren't exposed. He'll save thousands in administrative costs, and his risk profile drops dramatically. So here's the bottom line. Florida Series LLC law is a smart, strategic tool. It gives business owners more control, more protection, and more flexibility. But like any tool, it has to be used the right way. This is the time to start planning. Talk to your attorney. Get your operating agreements in place. Look at how your business is structured and ask whether a Series LLC makes sense for your growth and protection strategy. Florida just handed us a new set of building blocks. Now it's up to you to decide what kind of structure you want to build. Again, I'm Santiago Cueto. Thanks for joining me today. And remember, when it comes to Florida business law, a little foresight goes a long way.